Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. First and foremost, before we get into the video, I would just like to give every single person who has shown me mad love in my last video a moment to just say thank you. So thank you to every single person who has liked my video, commented, subscribed, shared, did everything that they could to just get the word out that your girl finally has a YouTube channel, and I appreciate every single one of you guys for doing that. With that being said, at the beginning of every single one of my videos, I am going to be doing a supporter shout out. So for my very first video, I'm giving a shout out to my girl Vivian. Her social media stuff will be right here, so make sure to go show her some mad love. And if you want to be shouted out in my next video, just make sure to leave a comment down below, like, comment, subscribe. And just in case y'all say I won't give y'all enough time, here's the opportunity to do so. Are you commenting? Are you liking? Subscribing? Anyways, I hope that gave you guys enough time to do all of that good stuff. So let's get into the video.
Spread your wings. Nothing is impossible, believe.
So as you may have read the title, this is a pro and con of going to school out of state based off my personal experiences. So let's start off with the pros, because nobody wants to start on the negative side. And I'm just gonna go down the list. I have a piece of paper that I wrote all the pros, cons, as well as advices for all students or anybody that's thinking of going to school outside of the US. I mean, outside of the state. The US will be a whole different story. But the first point on this list is the fact that you get a fresh new start. I think this is one thing I really looked forward to when it came to going to school outside of the US, because I just felt like I was in a box suffocating, and I was just so desperate to just want to live life according to myself. I just wanted to, dress how I want, talk how I want, do whatever I want without people judging me because they think they knew who I was. And when I moved to Nashville, when I tell you, it was one of the best amazing decisions of my life, because in a way I got to recreate myself and re-identify myself based on how I wanted, and that was one of the most amazing things about this journey. The next point is independence. When you're transitioning from high school to college, it's a weird stage because like you're not a teen anymore, but you're not an adult, and independence is something that you're gradually going to get. But when you go out of state, like, your independence is on a different level, because you don't have your mama, you don't have your daddy, you don't have your aunt, your uncles, or your siblings that you can just reach out to for help. No more home cooked meals, no more your sisters doing your laundry, none of that stuff. You're literally having to do all of that things on your own. Grocery shopping, doing your laundry, cleaning your room, managing your job, sleeping on time, waking up on time, going to class. Like, all of those things are gonna be things you're gonna have to manage yourself, but that just comes with the independent side of going to school outside of state. And for me, honestly, I've always been very like independent and on my shit and just love doing stuff on my own terms. So this was not anything new for me, but it was just something that I've noticed during my experience. The next thing on the list is new experiences equal new likings. So for me personally, before I went to Nashville, I didn't know that it was so heavy on country music. And when I went there, I went with the perception of, hell no, I don't do country music, I'm not listening to country music. But after a while of just being in the environment and just being in downtown and listening to so many country music, I started vibing with country music and actually enjoying it. Let's insert a clip of my favorite song.
It's meant to be, it'll be, baby, just let it be. So won't you ride with me, ride.
I love country music now. Before, I just used to be like, no, I kind of prejudged it without actually even listening to it. But after a couple of months of being in Nashville and just being so immersed whatever in country music, I was just like, that's kind of the vibe. So that leads me to my next point, which is cultural differences. When I tell you Oregon has no freaking culture, like, Oregon is just Oregon. When you hear Oregon, what do you think of? Nothing, right? That's how Oregon is. But Nashville had actually more of a culture to it, more of a vibe, which I really enjoyed. And like, it was just cool to experience something new. So that's one of the pros of going outside of your state. My last point of the pro side is the fact that you can find yourself. you're like, when I say I found myself, I wouldn't say I was lost. I wasn't a lost cow or anything, but it just helped me get a better understanding of who I was, what I wanted to do with my life, where I was headed, things I loved, because I didn't have the distractions of my family and friends telling me you should do this, you should do that, you should go here, you should do that. I was literally doing everything based off what I wanted to do, and I was more like in tune with myself, and I was more listening to myself, as well as, you know, finding the courage to just do things that I never would have if I was staying in state. Oh, and then this gives me another point of the pro side. So one of the pros for me personally of going to school outside of my state was the fact that I've noticed how close-minded African families are, African parents are, especially when it comes to their daughters. And for me, I realized there were so many like older kids that graduated before me, especially girls that wanted to go to school outside of the state, but their parents wouldn't let them because African parents have this belief that, you know, education's education no matter where you get it, or you're a girl, you can't go that far, or you're gonna lose your identity, your culture, your religion, or you're gonna wild out if we're not like supervising you, all this crazy like nonsense. And honestly, yes, I had to fight a little extra harder for my parents to let me go out of state, but you know, it was a fight that meant more than just me fighting just to go out of state. It was fighting for other girls in my community to use as an example to say, you know what, Faiza went out of state, so can I, and kind of give other African parents the reassurance that, you know, I did it and so can your daughter. And it's not something that we should be so fearful about and limit our daughters to just in-state colleges, but let them branch out, let them explore the world. I know they're capable, I know they're very smart, and there's so many opportunities out there that lets us do those things, but don't hinder your daughters, please, because going to school outside of the US was probably outside of the state was probably one of the best experiences I have ever came across and done for myself, no matter how tough of a fight that fight was, you know, against a lot of things, not just my parents. And if your parents are just saying hell no, but you still decide to do it, I promise you, your parents can be mad at you for the first few months, but the day you graduate, they're gonna be on those bleachers rooting for you. So just go ahead and do what you gotta do, but don't disobey your parents, you know, don't disrespect them, none of that. Yeah. Now let's get into the cons of going to school outside of the US. So for my first con, we have homesick. No matter how bad you want to get the hell away from your state, you know, after a couple weeks of being in the new state, you're gonna get homesick and lonely. Not because you miss back home, but because it's a new environment and you don't know many people to, you know, feel at home. That's normal. That just comes from, you know, you not being used to the new environment, you not having like your squad or your clique or people you can go to. But I promise you, all of that will go away after a few months of just getting familiar with the city and finding your clique and finding things, organizations and stuff like that. My next con is expenses. For me personally, I was just thinking about college expenses, my university expenses, my tuition, my like fees, my housing, my food, but I didn't really so much think about my flights, unless you're lucky enough to drive to your school, even though it's out of state. But for me, unfortunately, I didn't have that luxury. I had to freaking fly every single time. You know, tickets were always expensive, and also during breaks, you can't always go home. Like for me, if I had Thanksgiving and then winter break coming up, I had to choose which one to go back home to, because I can't go home for Thanksgiving, come back, and then go home for winter break, come back. It was just not gonna work out for me. So I had to, you know, find good friends on campus that I can stay over with them during Thanksgiving and then be able to go home winter break. And some schools don't allow students to stay over for winter break. It's mandatory for you to go home, and for me that was the case for my school, so I had to go home. Like I didn't have an option, they kick you out, so I had to go home. Shipping also cost a lot. For me to just ship boxes of like clothes or whatever from home to my school was like $200 to $300 to $400, and so shipping is gonna cost you a lot, so make sure you're thinking about shipping as well. My next point on my cons is roommates. When I say roommates either make or break your college experience, they really make or break your college experience. And unfortunately, it's not like we have, you know, our high school best friends coming with us to college that we could be roommates with. You're gonna get randomly selected with someone, and if it works out for you, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The next thing is location and transportation. So before you know, pick a school, or before you fly over to that school, please please make sure you check the location as well as if they have transportation, because as a college student you're gonna need a lot of stuff. You're gonna need to go to the grocery store, you're gonna need to go to the mall, you're gonna need to go to the, you know, doctors if you need to. But if you don't have no way of getting around on public transportation, Lyft and Uber are gonna be your best friend. And when you are a struggling college student, sometimes you don't have those options of Lyfting or Ubering, because those things cost so damn much. And to get to point A to point B, that's one payment. From B to A back, that's another. Like, you don't have the type of money for that. So please make sure that you look into transportation and location. So that's it for my cons. Now let's get into advice. So the first advice that I have for you guys is for the ladies. This is one thing, yeah, I knew, but you know, it's just, I'm just gonna put a reminder out there. Ladies, I hope you understand that when you're going to school, you're going to school, for your education. That's what comes first, because that's what you're paying all this money for, is to get your education. So please understand that it's books before boys. I'm telling you, college boys, don't think these boys is gonna wife you up. Don't think these boys is gonna put you on a pedestal and make you the queen that you are. These are boys that are away from home. These are boys that finally gotten this amount of freedom. These are boys that have never been around this many girls and this many parties and this many freedom. All they want to do is just have fun. And I'm not saying you can't have your fun, but understand that you're there for your education and nothing else. Period. The next thing is, if you know any friends or family members that live in the city, please make sure to get in contact with them, just so they can be your family away from family, your home away from home. One thing my dad did for me was, you know, he knew somebody that lived over there, a family that lived out in Tennessee, and kind of had them look after me just in case emergency happened. And that was, you know, an amazing thing that my dad was able to do for me. So ask your parents if they know any family members that live out there, or any friends of theirs that live out there, that they can, you know, they can help you out in times of need, just in case your family is not able to get to you as soon as possible. My other advice is, if you're planning to stay at the universities for all 4 years, please make sure to get a unit, a storage unit, because it makes everything so much easier for you. You don't have to carry everything with you back and forth every single year. You can just grab all your stuff on a U-Haul, put it in the storage unit, grab the small little things that you need back home, and then when you come back the next year, everything's in your storage unit, and then you just take it to your dorm, and then you're set. That leads me to the next point. Make sure to buy your college dorm necessities and little things that you need in the state that your college is in. Don't try to buy it in your home state and then take that with you in the plane and then take it to your dorm. It's a hassle. It's gonna break your pocket, luggage fees, and it's just gonna be too much for you to carry, especially if you're traveling by yourself and parents are not able to come with you. Second time that I flew to school, to start school officially, I was traveling by myself, so unfortunately my parents couldn't come with me, meaning I only took what I can carry, not extra ass shit. So make sure you're buying your extra, like, small dorm stuff when you get to the state that your college is in. My next point is, make sure you bring your important documents with you, such as like your social, you know, your passport, stuff like that, just in case you're planning to get a job. You have all that stuff with you, as well as your health insurance. Make sure to bring that, because I remember there was this time where I needed to go to the doctors, and I went and they asked me for my health insurance, but I didn't have it, but I knew my number, and I gave that to them, and then a couple weeks later they sent me bills in the mail. I was just like, how am I gonna pay for all this stuff? But all I had to do was call my insurance and they took care of that. But if I had my insurance card, that would have all been taken care of, and I would have not, you know, gave myself a little mini heart attack when I opened those mails. And my last point is, if you're a first-time college student, financial aid, especially at HBCUs, they will you up. So if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what loans you're taking out, if you don't know what loans not to take out, you will just accept things you don't need. And for me, that's what happened to me. I knew I had enough money that was gonna cover me all 4 years, but because I didn't know what they were having me sign, I signed some papers where I took out loans that I didn't need. And like now I have a $5,000 loan waiting for me, just because I didn't know what I signed up for. So make sure you have an adult that's advocating for you, or a parent or an older sibling that can, you know, advocate for you and be like, you know what, you don't need this, or you do need this, because that really does help a lot. I'm more than happy to be able to do this video for any seniors, any first-time freshmen that are going to school outside of the state. With that being said, this is going to be one of the most exciting experiences you're ever gonna experience. And please understand that college is literally what you make of it. If you want the best time of your life, then make the best time of your life. But if you don't care what the experience is like, then you don't care. And for those of you guys that don't know the school that I went to Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, which is an HBCU. And for those of you guys that don't know what an HBCU is, an HBCU is a historically black school or like college or university. And I only went there for a year, and now I attend a PWI. And for those of you guys that would like a comparison between the two, a PWI and a HBCU, please leave a comment down below and I'll be more than happy to post that video for you guys. But anyways, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Like, subscribe right now. And until next time, guys.
Spread your wings. Nothing is impossible, believe.